During our time over there, we started seeing individuals become ill with various symptoms ranging from rashes all over their bodies or chronic explosive diarrhea, heavy bleeding accompanied with that, excruciating headaches, the bones and the joints started aching, and there were night sweats, and things only became worse as time progressed.
There's enough paperwork right now to prove there is a gulf around this, and there's certain medicines that control it, and that's all they're doing right now is controlling it for a few.
Iraq did use chemical and biological munitions.
They punched us with all these different vaccines supposedly to protect us, and knowing that some of these had never been tested on humans.
And we're all forced to roll up our sleeves and pull down our pants and get shots in the gluteus and in the tricep muscles of our arms.
Before the Gulf War, I could run all day and leap tall buildings at a single bound. After the Gulf War, you couldn't walk a mile.
They say that they will rescue us from dreadful dangers that we cannot see and do not understand. And the greatest danger of all is international terrorism, a powerful and sinister network with sleeper cells in countries across the world. A threat that needs to be fought by a war on terror. But much of this threat is a fantasy which has been exaggerated and distorted by politicians. It's a dark illusion that has spread unquestioned through governments around the world, the security services, and the international media. This is a series of films about how and why that fantasy was created, and who it benefits. At the heart of the story are two groups, the American Neoconservatives and the radical Islamists.
Can the Secretary of Defense, can the Vice President, can this administration take the military to war to feed the greed of contractors?
We've employed corporations, private entities, to carry out inherent government functions.
They should not be using civilians for combat operations.
A corporation is going to put human needs on the bottom if it conflicts with profit.
Basic safety precautions weren't taken.
Forcing them to go out and to drive into battle zones.
They cut corners left and right.
No sharpshooters, no escorts, no flak vests, no helmets.
No armor, no weapons.
No rear gunner, no armored vehicles, not even a map.
It's just wrong.
God damn!
Osama bin Laden is the world's most wanted terrorist.
Un grave attentato al World Trade Center.
Bin Laden's terrorist organization the most feared terrorists
and
of our
punish
time.
those responsible.
The most wanted man in the world.
Punish.
It's a vast empire.
I want justice. And there's an old poster out west, as I recall, that said wanted, dead or alive.
If you go to the FBI website, they've got Osama bin Laden. And if you go to Osama bin Laden's webpage on the FBI most wanted terrorist list, you find that he's been indicted for the 1998 attacks, but not for 9/11. And in fact, a number of journalists called up the FBI and said, well, look, why have you not connected bin Laden to 9/11? And they said, well, I'm afraid we just don't have the evidence.
In the light of what we've seen and heard, it seems that the official version of 9/11 is not sufficient. We want the facts to be explained to us, and above all, we want them to be properly investigated. Basically, we want someone to finally tell us the truth.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
The quest for the new world order is in part a challenge to keep the dangers of disorder at bay.
We were interested today to hear that more than 100 law enforcement officials in Mexico are having microchips implanted in their arms. The chips allow a person to be scanned, sort of like a cereal box at the supermarket checkout.
I think the most important thing is for Barack Obama.
I think his task will be to develop an overall strategy for America in this period when really a new world order can be created.
I think a new world order is emerging, and with it the foundations of a new and progressive era of international cooperation.
But the burdens of global citizenship continue to bind us together. In this new century, Americans and Europeans alike will be required to do more, not less. Partnership and cooperation among nations is not a choice.
Yes, these men and their hypnotized followers call this a new order. It is not new, and it is not order.
I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
Monsanto's GMOs have invaded the planet, but no ag industry product in history has ever incited as much controversy and passion. Why? What's at stake with GMOs? And could the company's past shed some light on what the company is or claims to be today? Founded in St. Louis, Missouri in 1901, it was not always an agricultural company. It was one of the largest chemical companies of the 20th century.
Chemistry is working for you, and very likely Monsanto is working for you. Monsanto, where creative chemistry works wonders for you.
The wonders boasted about in this commercial made Monsanto one of the most controversial companies in the industrial era. Agent Orange, aspartame, bovine growth hormone, PCBs. These chemically created oils used worldwide as coolants and lubricants in electrical equipment were the jewels in Monsanto's crown for over 50 years. They were called Arachlor in the United States, Pyrrolin in France, and Clofen in Germany, until they were banned in the early 1980s.
I am minded of young David. I am minded of young David, the shepherd boy, who stood up before the great warrior of the Philistines. Young David having all the courage. There's got to be somebody somewhere. Got to be somebody somewhere. Young David took that one small stone and the faith of his God and slayed the giant lion.
Kids will ask their parents, Dad, couldn't you see that war was inevitable when you produce scarcity?
Power does what it wants. Power does what it wants. And now they're just more naked about it. Now they just put it right out front and say, this is what we're doing to you folks. And everybody's got a cell phone that makes pancakes, so they don't want to rock the boat.
The entire money-structured and materialistic-oriented society is a false society.
There is no human nature. There's human behavior, and that's always been changed throughout history.
What we need is a true change of consciousness, where we understand the interrelationship between all of us.
There are no Negro problems, or Polish problems, or Jewish problems, or Greek problems, or women's problems. They're human problems.
The society that we're about to talk about is a society that is free of all the old superstitions, incarceration, prisons, police, bankers, advertising, gone forever, because it's no longer relevant.
Nazi forces seek to establish systems of government based on the regimentation of all human beings by a handful of individual rulers who seize power by force.